Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dynamic Earth. Thank you for spending a little bit of time to hear about this class and allow me to introduce myself and a little bit about what we're planning to do this year in this science class. So, my name is Lara Bell. I am an Earth and Space Science teacher here at North High School. I've been teaching in the district for 26 years. So I did teach at St. Charles High School when there was just one school, and then I've been here at North since we opened the building. I teach dynamic Earth as well as astronomy, which is a semester long elective. Um, my degree is in geology and secondary education from Wheaton College, which is down the road. And then I have a master's from Aurora University in um, curriculum instruction just on the road the other direction. So, um, been doing this for a while. I am excited about the opportunity to teach your kids this year about the earth and about the systems that function within it. And I think we'll have some really exciting opportunities to talk about stuff that's going on in the world around us. On this screen, you can see my contact information. My full name is Larissa. So if you email me, that's what goes in there and the email address. My phone number is also there. If you need to contact me, feel free to email or call. Either of those work, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can if I get that message. In our class this year, we'll be using Google Classroom for our learning platform. So all of our information will be housed all in that one location. So homework, announcements for what we're doing that day, review guides, extra copies of homework, all that kind of stuff will be on Google Classroom for students to access. Students are all already logged in to our Classroom page. Have been using it already, so they know how to get in there, should be able to find what they need there. They can also communicate with me through Google Classroom. Instead of sending me an email, they can directly message me if they need to do that as well. In terms of how we'll be grading things this year, we typically split sort of a little bit half and half in terms of how the grade goes. So half of the grading is over sort of the daily work that we do, the homework, the quizzes as along the way, the journals, the labs that we do, that sort of in progress learning. And then about half, a little more than half of the grade comes from those summative assessments. So 40% from our unit tests and our performance assessments, and then 20% from semester exam. The purpose behind this is that the work that we do along the way, a lot of that is open for revision and relearning. For example, if we are doing a quiz and student has been doing the work all along, has the review guide done for the quiz, but doesn't do so well in the quiz, doesn't really get it, we have opportunities for retake. So we would review, come back at that information, solidify, make sure we've got a good understanding of that. And we do all of that along the way before we get to the unit assessments. And so that's kind of why we break the grade into two separate parts for in terms of evaluating and assessing how students are doing in terms of learning what we want them to learn. In terms of what we're going to actually be studying, earth science is typically described as an interdisciplinary study of the Earth system. Also deals with the Earth's history, and so we break that application of different sciences to the Earth system down into four main branches of Earth science. And so the first one is the study of geology, which is study of the Earth from physical and historical perspectives. So we get to deal with rocks and fossils and minerals and talk about volcanoes and earthquakes and all of those kinds of things that happen in the solid part, physical part of the Earth, and also the things that have occurred in the Earth's past. So students really tend to enjoy this part of the curriculum when we get to talk about fossils and how we know what things look like in the past. How do we know there were dinosaurs? How do we know when they died out? All of those kinds of things that are intriguing. So we talk about what the evidence is and how we draw conclusions from that evidence about what's going on in its past. Also have a focus on taking a look at what's currently happening and how we um, study those natural disasters like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions in such a way that we can um, use what we know to be prepared and as safe as possible from those sorts of natural disasters. Another unit of study that we're actually starting our year with is astronomy, the study of the universe outside of the Earth's atmosphere. So we sometimes talk about this as everything out there. And so we will talk about planets and galaxies and stars and black holes and quasars and pulsars and all kinds of crazy, weird things that are out there in space. And then again, a focus there is on how do we know that we can't go out there and visit all of those places. So, what evidence do we have about what's going on out there in space? And then, what conclusions do we draw um, based on what we can see from basically the light that comes to us from the stars? In the spring, we'll hit our meteorology unit. This is the study of the Earth's atmosphere and its weather. We'll talk about tornadoes and thunderstorms a lot in the spring because those are the systems that impact us, helping students understand what causes those kinds of weather, what the warning signs are, how we can make sure that we're making good decisions about not only like the clothes that we wear, but the activities that we choose to do given a particular weather forecast. About lightning safety, some of those kinds of things as well. We're already talking about weather stuff. We've been tracking our hurricanes here as they've been coming through, and a lot about what those impacts are from those weather phenomenon that we see at different times of the year. The fourth unit of study or branch of earth science is oceanography, and it's the study of the Earth's oceans. We tend to take this unit and kind of break it up and put it in with the other ones. So when we talk about um, hurricanes and we talk about ocean temperatures and how that impacts the weather, talk about tsunamis when we talk about plate tectonics, we talk about waves and wind and all of those things when we talk about the coastal processes and erosion that happen along the coast in geology. So we tend to take the oceanography and kind of work it into the other topics that we're talking about throughout the year. In terms of some of the ways that we'll be studying those topics, we will focus on some scientific skills, the use of observations, the use of problem solving skills, use of experimental inquiry. How do we build and design a good experiment and then draw conclusions from those things? We use all of those kinds of skills in our science as we study the Earth. And then, as I mentioned, one of my goals is to help students see this class as relevant to their lives by focusing on those places where we apply what we've been learning or where we see what we've been learning in the world around us. So we'll talk a lot about what's going on in the news that's earth science related and how we understand those things we're hearing about in the news. Like I said, natural disasters and the safety precautions that can help us be prepared and safe during those kinds of events. And even just things like, okay, we're headed on vacation to the Dells and we're seeing different kinds of landforms and kinds of rocks. How do we process that? What's creating that? So helping them see science in the world around them. And then, as I mentioned, understanding, preparing for kinds of weather, the weather phenomenon that we see. So I'm excited about the year. I'm excited that we get to talk about things that I think are really cool and fascinating, but also very connected to everyday lives of our students and of the things that they will need to know in the future. So um, I'm hoping that it will be something that the students are also excited to learn about and that we'll have an excellent year together. Please, if you have questions or concerns, don't hesitate to call or email me. I would love to talk with you. Um, and thanks so much for spending some of your time with me learning about dynamic Earth. Bye bye.